comprehension leads to understanding of the following fact: that our cooperation has to be grounded in our will to survive. So if we build qualifying industrialized zones and employ Jordanian rural women, then I can understand that we're improving the situation of human dignity. But if our businessmen, and I'm not pointing a finger at either side of the divide, turn those industrialized zones into free zones to import and use and abuse Asian labor, then how are we promoting a context of peace? I said this in Doha, in Qatar, and Yossi Beilin came up and said, how courageous of you. But quite honestly, being courageous is telling the truth. That's all I have left to live for. And as the Reverend Jin of the Buddhist Church and Sister Haruta, is she here? Said to me the other day in Kyoto, remember the Buddhist monk who immolated himself in protest over the Vietnam War. Remember Martin Luther King, whose prize I was honored to receive from Moorhead College. Remember all those who have been assassinated for telling the truth. Well, I would rather live with the truth, with myself, and with all of you, than accept to be manipulated in a world which is increasingly limiting free choice in the name of security. Security to me means human security. It predates our modern rules of private property. It transcends our present, the aesthetic in the encounter with the other. Isn't what is beautiful about the Abrahamic faith the aesthetic and the spiritual? Isn't it time that we brought this back into the path of ideas? There's a UNESCO body for global paths, the spice route, the silk route. I would call upon you to consider the path of ideas, caminos de las ideas. From the Terra Media, the Mediterranean, to the Iberian Peninsula, to Latin America. In Sao Paulo, we went into the synagogue, Muslims and Christians. In Berlin, I invited Muslims, Christians, I invited Christians and Jews. Our hosts were Muslims in the mosque in Berlin, men and women. And we sat on the ground and we represented that wholeness that you referred to. Al-Insaniya al-Kulliya, the wholeness of humanity. But forgive me for reminding you once again that this is not about Jordan and Israel. For those of you who are having wobbly knees about the idea and going to walk out of this meeting saying enough is enough, I noticed one of the businessmen here has already walked out because clearly he's not going to get associated. The one who is sitting next to you. Yes. These rattlesnakes are hard to get hold of. I'm not a businessman, so I don't care what they think of me, and they made very clear what they think of me, that I'm not good for business. But I recognize that business that puts food into people's mouth is ethical. I'm at least clear about that. But business that creates weapons, whether conventional or non-lethal. Do you know what a non-lethal weapon is now? The production of guns that can lobotomize you. You don't have to shoot somebody in a demonstration, but you can stop his mind from functioning. He's still alive, but it's a non-lethal weapon. How diabolical is this world becoming? We speak of nuclear, chemical, and biological people are dying of radiation every day. Scrap metal is bought from Iraq to build climbing frames for children who are then infected with carcinogenic matter. As you Christians say, Christ wept. So I would like to suggest to you that the transcendence that we seek and the salvation, and I'm talking in terms of the here and now, that we have worked on for so long is clearly a matter of action in the here and now and a matter of destiny for those who believe. But please, let me remind you of this book, Winning the Human Race. The 5 Security Council members of the 28 members of this commission formed by the United Nations in 1983 to produce a document, the New International Humanitarian Order, included Professor Blishenko from the then USSR, Rudin from China, David Owen from the United Kingdom, Robert McNamara from the United States, and Simone Veil, herself a survivor, from France. It also included my wife's late uncle, Chief Justice Hidayatullah of India, who died before he could complete his work on statelessness. So important to that carrying capacity and recovery capacity is to remove the labels. We're talking about water. We're not talking about Palestinian water, Israeli water. We're talking about equality. The Middle East Review tells us that the average consumption per capita for the Israeli is 38 liters. For the Palestinian in the territory is 28 and the Jordanian 17. And I just don't know how the new investments are going to drink water. I want to say that in winning the human race, our point of departure was, if the universe is non-ethical, and I'm quoting H.G. Wells, if it is non-ethical by our present standards, we must reconsider those standards and reconstruct our ethics. And that was 1901.